Hey there, in today's video I'm going to review this, the Nike Pegasus Plus. I'm making this video because I have a variety of speed-focused Nike ZoomX foam shoes, the Alphaflys 1, 2 and 3, the Vaporfly 3s and the Streakflies. And I have a variety of comfort-focused Nike ZoomX shoes, the Invincible 1, the Invincible 2 and the Invincible 3. And in this particular video, I'm trying to see with the ZoomX foam and the Flyknit upper in this, the Pegasus Plus, are they somewhere sitting between the two, sitting between the maximum comfort of the Invincibles and the maximum speed of the Vaporfly 3s and the Alphaflys. And that's what I'm trying to do in this initial video review. And as always, this video might be long. There are chapter markers down below, so you can skip on through to the bits you might be interested in. Let's get going. The Pegasus Plus is part of an extremely popular and profitable range for Nike, the Pegasus range. The Pegasus 41 is the current iteration, and there's lots of different varieties. There's a Pegasus Trail 5 GTX, there's an Easy On Pegasus, there's a Nike Pegasus Premium coming in spring 2025. And in the history of Nike shoes, in the 35th edition of the Pegasus, they sold 12 million in 12 months. So the Pegasus range is hugely important to Nike. Previously, Nike made the Pegasus Turbo, and I say that, this says Pegasus Turbo on the outsole, and you wonder why they would change the name from Pegasus Turbo to Pegasus Plus, but maybe we'll delve into that later on. For the moment, let's take them testing and see what we can find out. The shoes arrived a couple of days ago. I've been running on a variety of surfaces and paces, on road, on sand, on track, on trail. I've walked about 6K, I've run 5K easy, and I ran an hour of super threshold intervals on the local running track. Let's put the shoes on the turntable and look at their specifications. Nike say that the Pegasus Plus weighs 245 grams, 8.6 ounces in a UK men's size 9, US men's size 10, and that it weighs 205 grams, 7.2 ounces in a women's size UK 5.5 and US women's size 8. This shoe is a US men's 13, UK 12, EU 47.5, CM 31, BR 46. In this size, it weighs in the left shoe 306 grams, 10.79 ounces, and in the right shoe 309 grams, 10.90 ounces. It has a 35mm stack, it has a 10mm drop. Nike say this about the Pegasus Plus: responsive cushioning in Pegasus provides an energized ride for everyday road running. Experience the highest energy return compared with previous Pegasus Turbos with a ZoomX foam midsole. Plus, stretchy Flyknit on the upper contours to your foot for a seamless fit. Let's review the shoe and see if what Nike says is true. The upper on the Pegasus Plus is Flyknit, but it's nothing like the Flyknit on the Vaporfly 3. It's much more structured and less ventilated. I'll stick a light in, and so if I stick a light in, you'll see shining through, and I'll stick a light in the shoe as well. But you'll see that it's not as porous as the Vaporfly 3. There is more structure to it. There's much more structure to the upper. Certainly in the heel is much more structured. There is a removable insert, so we'll take that out. So there is a removable thin insert in the shoe. But yeah, the upper is, dare I say it, fairly conventional. The toe box for me is a little tight. The shoe narrows here, and I feel a rubbing on my foot. Now, because there'll be such a big range of these, my guess is they'll release a wider foot version, but if, like me, you can feel a tightness in here sometimes, maybe this isn't the shoe for you. In terms of the laces, they're fairly conventional, nothing exciting. There's absolutely nothing exciting about these laces. They're not like Alphafly or Vaporfly laces. They're just flat, sort of regular laces. The tongue, I do like the tongue on this shoe. It has a light piece of what's like Alcantara or fake suede sandwiched between the plastic, which forms the main part of the tongue, but the piece that touches your foot is nice and soft, and there's a notch here so that it spreads evenly across your foot. So I do like that. The midsole is ZoomX, but it's not like the ZoomX on some of my other shoes. In the Vaporfly 3, in the Invincible 3, and in the Streakfly, the ZoomX is more veined. We'll talk about it a little bit more in the running field, but it seems to be a slightly different ZoomX, certainly in terms of feel, and when I look at it in terms of the veining on these shoes. Now, the other shoes have more mileage, kilometerage in them. These are about 200k, these have 300k, but these have very little. These might have 25k. There's actually probably less kilometerage in these than there are in these. So it's not like it's just they wear a lot and then they get veined. These seem less ZoomX-y than I was expecting in the midsole. The outsole of the shoe and its patterning is very similar, at least on the outside edges, to the Invincible series, the Invincible 3. And it has this Pegasus Turbo sort of stripe going through. That the stripe also continues on the front and on top and on the back. But the most noticeable thing for me here is how flat this is for a very long length of the shoe. It's very flat, no sort of rocker shape, and then curves up at the front and at the rear, but it's a very long, flat outsole. Nike say that the ZoomX foam used in this shoe is lighter than the ReactX foam used in the Pegasus 41. To give a comparison, in a US men's 10, UK 9, Nike claimed 240 grams, 8.6 ounces for this shoe, and 297 grams, 10.4 ounces for the Pegasus 41. 50 grams of difference. If you watched my last week's video about shoe weight, that might lead to a performance gain of about 0.5%. If you're thinking these are somehow a Vaporfly without a plate, they're much more close to the weight of the Invincible 3 than they are to the Vaporfly. In terms of stack and drop, these are 35 millimeters at the heel, 25 millimeters at the forefoot, 10 millimeter drop. I like the design of the shoe. I like the slightly retro look. There's a sort of wavy pattern on the base, the 1-inch stripe continuing around. It's flat-sided along here like the Vaporfly 3, and it says Pegasus Turbo on the outsole, and yet the shoe is called Pegasus Plus. There were Pegasus Turbos before, and I'm kind of wondering why the new name. I have a few theories, and somewhere in here there is a Pegasus, a little Pegasus winged sort of logo. It's hard to notice in this shoe, and you only see it in certain lights, but this particular band down the bottom is a slightly different color. It's more, it's darker than the white of the rest of the shoe, and yeah, I do quite like the design of this shoe. It's fairly conventional, but I do like the stripe down the middle. Nike launched different colorways around the world. Here, while I'm making this in the EU, there are 4 men's available. There's black, anthracite, white, and pure platinum. There's black, astronomy blue, vivid grape, and hyper crimson. There's white, sail, light orwood, brown, anthracite, and there's these, the burly gray, white, black, hot punch. These are also available in women's, and one of the things I like about these is I like the stripe. On some of them, you don't see the stripe. Like if you get on a nearly all black one, you won't see the stripe as much, and that seems to be part of the visual appeal of the shoe. And the various women's shoes, there are different ones that are not available in men's, and there'll be lots of colorways and lots of territories around the world. There'll be no shortage of these shoes. In terms of sustainability, Nike make something of the ReactX foam versus the React foam in the Pegasus 41. They make no claims here to any particular sustainability values in these shoes. In terms of onboarding, these, like many characteristics of the shoe, they fit slightly in the middle. The easiest shoe I have to put on is the Nike Streakfly. The hardest would be the Alphafly, and these fit nicely in the middle. In some aspects, the running feel is the most important part of this review, and the one I'm struggling with the most. When I went out in the shoe, immediately it felt flat. It wasn't as cushioned as I expected, and it wasn't as springy as I expected. Some of that, I don't know whether there's a slightly different ZoomX foam, but this morning I ran up and down outside wearing Streakflies, Invincible 3s, and Vaporfly 3s, as well as these to compare. And they're all different shoes, but certainly the other 3 ZoomX shoes felt much more springy, more absorbent. Also, there's a very long, flat outsole in this shoe, base of the shoe, and combined with a mid-foot strike when I'm running at an even pace, you're kind of just landing on them to a certain extent. I did warm to them once I started doing filming. I did filming all over the place in the last couple of days, and ran all over the place in the last couple of days, and I enjoyed them more, but they weren't what I expected. In some aspects, I was thinking they might be like the Vaporfly 3 without the plate, you know, Flyknit upper ZoomX foam, but they're not. They're more structured, but they're not like the Invincible 3. Now, the Invincible 3 has a stack height of 40 mil down to 31, and the Pegasus Plus has 35 down to 25. So the Pegasus Plus, it's more like the Invincible than it is the Vaporfly 3, but it's not as absorbent. It's not as absorbent as either shoe, and it's in running with them against the street fly. Yes, you can feel that there's more foam, but yeah, it just doesn't seem as absorbent, and to be honest, not as enjoyable to run in as I find the other three Nike ZoomX foam shoes. In terms of grip and traction, they're okay. They have, as I said, similar lugs. They're really shallow to the Invincibles. They'll be fine in the dry. A big stripe down the middle, it looks great. It's going to do nothing for grip. And these will be fine in dry road running or even in slightly wet conditions. Wouldn't have any worries about these shoes. In terms of wear and tear, the ZoomX foam isn't the most durable. The React foam would be more durable, but these are the Invincible 3s at 300 Ks, and they're okay. The outsole wore a bit, but the foam is really good. Certainly lasted much more than my Invincible ones. So yeah, this feels pretty bulletproof, really. This is going to last a long time. The shoe costs €179.99, 180 US dollars, 164 pounds 99 UK sterling, and 260 Australian dollars. And here in the EU, it's about €10 more expensive than one of its competitors, the Brooks Hyperion Max 2. So yeah, slightly on the expensive side, and certainly more expensive than the Pegasus 41. The buying experience was really straightforward. I bought them online. One of the things I do like about Nike is when they have an upcoming shoe that you might be interested in, they'll give you an alert to say when it's coming. They'll tell you when it's going to get launched, and you get alerts. So fairly easy to order and buy from Nike online. The use case for the Pegasus Plus is largely road running and training. I think a lot of people may buy the shoe as an alternative to, say, a more expensive carbon plate shoe like the Vaporfly 3 and get the wear and tear in regular training out of this shoe. I think that's possibly what people will be buying it for, but it doesn't have, in case anyone's saying, it doesn't have performance characteristics remotely like the Vaporfly 3. It has much more regular, middle of the road characteristics. The shoe I would most compare it with is the Brooks Hyperion Max. This has been recently replaced with the Brooks Hyperion Max 2, but there's a similar cost, there's a similar use case, there's even a similar profile to the shoe, and perhaps even a very similar name, Hyperion Max versus Pegasus Plus. Maybe that's why they dropped the turbo name, so that they could more easily fit the Pegasus into a defined range, which I think Brooks have done really successfully with their Hyperion models, the Hyperion Max, the Elite, all those kinds of things. The ZoomX in this is softer and it is smoother, and I ran up and down in both these shoes. They feel very similar. This has got a slightly firmer feel, and another comparison would obviously be to the Pegasus 41. This is more expensive and has a different foam. Should you buy the Nike Pegasus Plus? Well, if you're considering it as a sort of everyday shoe to go along with the Vaporfly, I don't find them remotely similar. It's a bit narrow for me here, and again, I'd expect different widths later. The biggest thing I feel about the shoe is it's not ZoomX-y enough. I was expecting something more compliant, something, yeah, with a bit more enjoyment. I found the running feel in them flat. And it would be interesting. I mean, I always think you should watch lots of other people who make reviews. I haven't watched any, but you should, to see what other people have said. Maybe they all love them. But for me, they're very similar to these, the Brooks Hyperion Max, and these are cheaper. They're now available at €105. This for me, it's dare I say it, neither fish nor fowl. It's not super lightweight like the Streak Fly. It's not got a plate like the Vaporfly 3, and it doesn't have that super cushion like the Invincible 3. I hate being indifferent about shoes. I'd either love them or hate them, but these, yeah, and these, yeah, I'm indifferent. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, it would be great if you hit the like button. As always, there'll be lots of stuff in the description below, and I'll happily answer any questions you put into the comments. There'll be a big blue subscribe button popping up there. It's ready videos there. Thanks for watching. Until the next video, just keep running along.